place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Welcome back to the morning show on Tobago Updates Television. I am Adanna Combie, and we begin conversations this morning in studio. We speak with Inspector Sherla Prince and ASP Dirk John. We're speaking, of course, of our weekly crime update as it relates to things happening in Tobago. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning, Adanna.
Pleasant day.
Good morning to our loyal listeners and viewers. And good morning, your Tobago Updates team.
Right. So we're getting straight into the conversation. I know we're coming out of a period where it was really hot in Tobago. It was really, really hot. And I felt as if we couldn't even keep up with what was happening. Yeah. And so we're here today and we want to get, a recoup of what has happened over the past week and weekend as it relates to crime and criminal activities, apprehending any criminals. Where are we right now today?
Okay, so Adanna, so we had quite a few success stories. I want to touch on, if you remember, in March, Sergeant Jonas was on duty in the Mongrace area, and he keen up observation. There's a gentleman searched and he got a firearm. He was sentenced to 2 months hard labor. Additionally, there was a report of housebreaking with intent. That person also went before the court and was sentenced to 3 months hard labor. Additionally, in the Roxborough district, a gentleman went to bed, retired to bed, left the keys in his ignition, glass down, and somebody took that vehicle without, and that vehicle was recovered by the Roxborough police station. So he also went before the court, and he has gone to St. Arts for a probation report. So we quite a lot of few activities, a lot of success story, but I'm going to let my ASP, Mr. John, continue for me.
Pleasant day, everyone. It's important to commend the men and women who are still dedicated to this fight, because we know that we can raise our hands and say we surrender. We also know too, to bring back that level of peace that Tobago is accustomed to, that we have to be more on the ground, bringing that feedback, engaging a little more positively with members of the public. So I want to personally commend the team at Roxborough for that interception. And my inspector and I would do something for them to celebrate that.
Right, it's always good to acknowledge good work. Now, the people in Tobago, as you mentioned, we want to bring back the place to some place that is calm, that we feel safe and comfortable. And people have been asking, what is the TTPS doing in terms of not just a presence, but sometimes we talk about strategies, we talk about plans, what we're going to do, and where is the action in terms of the visibility, what is actually happening. So I'm happy to hear that persons were apprehended. Where are we going now? How do we, I know we've had talks, especially over the past week. We've engaged other agencies like the Tobago House of Assembly and, the Defense Force in terms of how do we manage and curb crime on the island. So where are we where that is concerned?
So additionally, yes, we have partnered with the regiment. So you'll see the increased police presence with the regiment. And additionally, you know that the Guard and Emergency Branch and the Interagency Task Force will be here permanently in the next week or so, but they will be also on a rotation. So we have heard the cry of Tobagonians, and we have adopted an increase in our police presence in Tobago.
I know last conversations we had, that was with the chief, that he mentioned the Tobago specific police supposed to be launched or starting from today. Is that active from today?
Where I sit, I don't have that information.
Okay, no. We'll follow up on that.
Yes.
Right, so where are we now in terms of, I know you apprehended quite a few. Was there any activity happening over the weekend in terms of any?
Yes, we had the Delaford Harvest, and well attended, and we have no reports coming out of that. So let's say it was a safe event for the Roxborough district.
Okay.
Right, so we are so happy that we had no adverse reports coming out of the Delaford Harvest.
What can you attribute to that? Because I know it's a very, very big event, and harvest is something, if you know, especially in those areas where you have large numbers, because a lot of people attend the harvest in that area.
Nice. So what the police did, what the entire division did, we just did some exercises before and during the entire Sunday. So you see a lot of police presence. We had roadblocks. We had exercises before. So everybody, so to make everybody comfortable. So, so we really had no reports about anything. But the police was out in their numbers to see.
Okay, and in terms of, let's say, communities across the island of Tobago, not just when we have like harvest or events, what can we expect in terms of a police presence? And I make reference to some of those recreational grounds that we have, where we have young persons and other groups using sporting facilities in the afternoon or late evening, and sometimes we can find some little, persons trying to make mischief in those areas. And so, is there any conversation or talks to have a heavier police presence in community areas, recreational grounds, walking through the communities, engaging with members of the community groups like churches or anything like that, to ensure there's a presence that is always there, and also to encourage persons to abstain from indulging in criminal activities.
Okay, so Adanna, I glad you mentioned that, because last week we had 3 community walkabouts in the Scarborough district, Sherla district, and Crown Point. And it was just for us to sensitize the residents and the business owners of proper security of their business in terms of cameras, security of your homes. Even if you can't afford a camera, make sure that your place is properly fortified. And we also listened to their concerns about the police. I mean, what they want from the police, what they expect from us, and how they see we have been working, or if we have not been working, we really listen to them, and then we go back and we try to change things in their perspectives to have a positive impact within our community.
All right. And one of the other things I mentioned in a conversation, I believe I get into with the chief, and I should have had it with you as well, in terms of the enforcement of the law. So we've come to a place where we see criminal activities. It's like the criminals, they don't really care. They get up this morning and my job today is to do X, Y, and Z, and I'm going to do it. Yeah. And so they didn't just start like that. And I believe that sometimes they try petty crimes and they get away with it. For instance, something as simple as littering. Yes. It is a criminal offense, and there should be a charge attached, to it. But is it enforced? I drive along the street and I see drivers throwing things out of their windows. I see people on the side of the road and they drop in their lip, finish eating something, and instead of looking for a bin, you just throw it, you go to, anywhere, and you just see heaps of rubbish just piled all over. And so people are not charged or for these types of crimes, and they're thinking, if I could get away with this, let me try something else. And I'm testing the waters until I become a professional criminal. Yes. So now the conversation has to be about enforcing the law, even for the smallest of crimes, before we even escalate to becoming a professional criminal, if I can say that.
If I may, that's a very strong point. That the focus is more on violent crimes, homicides, shootings, because that disturbs the population heavily. When you look at minor offenses such as littering, it calls for another resource allocation. And with already scarce resources, we have to focus where we can. And that's part of the precision policing methodology based on the violent crime reduction plan from our Commissioner of Police. So it's understandable where you're coming from. We are a bit stretched at times, but in order to deal with what shocks us more, what disturbs us more, we center and focus our attention on those things. But we will look at that aspect as well.
And I believe maybe you could take my advice from where I sit. Public education.
Yes.
A lot of public education is very important because people take these things for granted.
Yes.
And as you said, the resources are going to be deployed for where the shock is really. But there are things that lead to it. And sometimes we're very reactive in terms of, we're going to deal with this now because this is what is happening. But let's look at the root of it. Yes. So I'm hoping that there will be some measure of heavy public education in terms of what you call the petty crimes, or so that people can be aware of what is going to happen, what the law. Some people don't even know what the laws are in terms of those petty crimes. So I'm hoping that something can come out from the TTPS.
Yes, absolutely. As you mentioned, littering. Does Tobago have the deployment of litter wardens within the context here? No. So when you look at other entities coming together to treat with a particular situation, we have to bring them and focus on treating where we can. You understand? Because I know the eyes are on the police, but there are other entities that we can bring to the fore that can assist as well.
Right, so we just have to continue having conversations, and engagement with your communities and your other agencies and stakeholders to ensure that, all the loopholes, that we fill all the loopholes, that we leave nothing, to chance, because, you know how we are, the human being. If you could find a way
You will do it.
you will do
You
it,
will
you
do it,
know.
yes,
So let's
absolutely.
just kind of seal off everything and ensure that we
Yes.
have, as some people say, that we have the city on lock, so that we get rid of all the criminal elements
Yes.
on the island of Tobago, because Tobago is beautiful, and we want to continue encouraging visitors from far and wide to come and enjoy all that we have here on the island of Tobago in safety.
Of course, of course. I had my, if I share with you, my first experience attending a harvest in Delaford, and the vibe was really nice. The togetherness, the warmth, the hospitality, it was tremendous to me. And what we can promise the people of Tobago is that we care for what is taking place, and we will drive hard to ensure that this island paradise is not affected at all.
I am really hoping that we can get to that place, you know, where we feel, you know, back in the day, you know, you could leave home.
Yeah.
That guy who went to bed with his key in his ignition would have nothing to worry about come 20 years ago, you know.
True.
And so we want to get back to that place. Yes, we have to be careful, but we really want to get back to that place where we feel safe, where we can feel like
Yes,
if I,
of course.
you know, I have to run in the shop quick and leave my door open, nobody's going to run in there or try to get anything from me. So we're hoping for a Tobago that is once again very safe. We're speaking, ladies and gentlemen, with Inspector Sherla Prince and ASP Dirk John as it relates to the crime updates happening here in Tobago, the plans and strategies that are being implemented. And we also have to have another aspect of conversation with them as well. And so we are going to have to go for a short break before we continue. And of course, before we go for a break, we invite all of you to help us share the live, share the live, share the live.